Hi, my name is Elan, and this is my Made by Members show, Culture Shock. First up, we have the incredible Chloe, who will be reading an excerpt from her book, White Honourable.
Moment 280, 2003, Regent's Park, London, 2 p.m. Okay, speak to you later, Sherry said into her phone. Gordon looked over to her briefly before focusing on the road again. Sherry shoved her phone into her pocket and sighed. The 10 minutes of joy she felt when speaking to Alex immediately died when the call ended, and all she could think about was facing Auntie Prose. So, how is man like Alex? Gordon teased. Sherry rolled her eyes and mumbled something vague. Enough about me. How's the new house? You're literally replacing us, going to live in New Hampshire, Sherry whined. Gordon smiled brightly as he merged into the next lane. We love it, he said simply. You should come and visit us. Christmas break is around the corner. Maybe, Sherry said lustily. She loved her brother, but she didn't love her brother's wife. In all honesty, Sherry didn't really know her. All she knew was that this woman represented a chapter in Gordon's life that Sherry wasn't a part of. Stop tapping your foot, he laughed as they left the motorway and started to wind through skinny London streets. I can't help it, I'm nervous. She's our aunt and you're her favourite. It'll be fine, he smiled. What are you really worried about? Sherry thought back to the last time she had seen Auntie Prose. Sherry was staying with her for a weekend and she had popped out to buy some sweets. She was about to open the front door when she heard a familiar male voice speaking from behind it. She's excruciatingly full of herself, the voice said. He sounded dejected, fed up, and a bit hysterical. Now you choose for Mariam. You've got to stick with it, Sherry heard her aunt reply. Her voice confirmed Sherry's suspicions. It was her father who was inside. Sherry put her key into the lock and opened the door. Her father and aunt looked up. Shame and regret instantly coloured Mr. Anderson's face. Georgie Porgy, Aunt Prose said. She ran over to Sherry and kissed her on the cheek. I'll get you a glass of... She started, but she paused when she saw Sherry's solemn face. Prose looked between her brother and her niece. I'm going to pop to the shops. I just ran out of those biscuits you like. Party hoops or something, right? She asked, not waiting for an answer before she grabbed her purse and ran out of the apartment. George, her father mumbled. He gestured for Sherry to sit down in Prose's seat. As Sherry tried to get comfortable in the chair, her eyes drifted to the new paintings in her aunt's apartment. One of the paintings, which was of a black miner swimming in dark water, always caught her eye. It was a confusing image. You were never sure if the bird was perching on the water for a split second or drowning. I'm sorry, Mr. Anderson said quietly. I love your mother. She can just be challenging at times. It can be a lot for us naughty people. Sherry chuckled dryly at her father's familiar phrase. Mr. Anderson always said that he, Sherry, and the younger boys were noddy people, meaning they were quiet and non-confrontational, always nodding at the demands of bigger personalities, like Lemmy, at times Gordon, and of course, Mrs. Anderson. The worst thing I've seen you do in the last 2 decades of your marriage is admit that Mummy's conceited. It's fine, Sherry laughed gently. Our little secret, Daddy said, grinning from ear to ear. He shared a pinky swear with Sherry, and they continued speaking as if nothing had happened. But deep down, Sherry wondered if this was how divorce started. A snide comment here, and a disgruntled complaint to someone who wasn't part of your marriage, so there couldn't be any further arguments. But they were still a part of your family, so you don't sound like the world's biggest pillock. Was it the little comments and harboured up anger and noddy labels, rather than the big three, infidelity, infertility, and irreconcilable differences that eroded marriages like her parents? This was why Sherry felt apprehensive about coming to Auntie Prose's flat again. It held strange memories and secrets she couldn't talk about, but of course she couldn't tell Gordon that. Just being away from Alex for a long time, I suppose, she lied to her brother. Gordon laughed and ruffled her hair quickly before turning into an expensive-looking side street. He'll be fine, he's a good boy, Gordon teased. Sherry gave him a grateful smile and took off her seatbelt as Gordon parked the car. Sherry looked out of the window and marvelled at the Regency-style houses before her. "There's still some time to choose makeup and ditch politics," Gordon muttered as he got out of the car. Sherry tried to hit his arm, but he laughed and evaded her. Sometimes Sherry purposefully tried to forget how wealthy her auntie was because it made her more intimidating. When Sherry slammed the car door, she almost jumped when she saw Auntie Prose coming out of her apartment, down the stairs and running up to her. As usual, Prose had on the most spectacular outfit. There were black feathers on the sleeves of her robe and red bottom slippers on her feet. Sherry's aunt was not a woman of subtlety, but she was certainly one of style. She kissed Gordon on the cheek quickly and exchanged pleasantries before grabbing Sherry in her arm and squeezing her. Georgie Porgy, pudding oh my," she greeted Sherry as she always did. Plump like a newborn cow and just as beautiful. Most of Auntie Prose's compliments sounded like insults, but she always insisted that the feelings behind her words were nothing but kind-hearted, and Sherry believed her. "Eldest, I take it you're not staying for the weekend?" Prose asked Gordon as he took out Sherry's duffel bag from the back seat. He shook his head sadly and said something about work. "I'm just Gigi's humble chauffeur," he teased. Prose laughed politely, and she took the bag from Gordon. "I'll try and see you next week if I can," Gordon said as he enveloped his sister into a warm hug. "Don't get in too much trouble. You've got a future to think of," he joked. He waved goodbye to Auntie Prose and got into his car before speeding off. Prose and Sherry watched him go before going inside. "He's my favourite after you," she said as they walked up the stone stairs. "Why am I your favourite?" Sherry asked. "We like people who are just like us or extremely opposite. That's human nature." Sherry wanted to probe further. Did Prose like her because she was just like her, or because she was the complete opposite? Sherry was about to ask when she saw a scan of a fetus on the table by the doorway, sitting next to the teapot as if it were a receipt rather than a painful memory. "I'm sorry about the baby, Auntie," Sherry said quietly as she followed Prose into the large sitting room. Her eyes caught the sight of the minor again. Prose turned to her and gave her a genuine smile. "Thank you, Porgy," she said softly. Prose started talking about the newest book she was reading and how there was a Toastmasters coming up that she was speaking at. Sherry tried to concentrate, but when she blinked, all she could see was drowning minors and fetuses. Thank you for listening.
Next we have Lara-Grace performing her original spoken word, Child of Three.
Three cultures in me that sit, and none that quite seems to fit. The first, a black woman, above all else, and no therapy or foundation shade can seem to avail the feeling that I am lost at sea, drowning 4,211 miles from my Igbo brothers and sisters, resting all too far from me. And on it goes, the endless list of, you're not black enough. You don't talk right, don't act right, you don't eat the right food, you don't tick enough stereotypes. And on top of all of that, you both talk and act white. You don't listen to enough Kendrick or enough J. Cole. You don't know the things a nigger like you ought to know. So it would seem in many ways that I am not black enough, which is funny, since I had grown up hearing the voices of my friends and their families saying they only saw the black in me. At age 3, the only other black girl in my nursery told me I was too dark to play with, labeled me Blackie before she shoved me down her stairs. At 4, my best friend's mother asked me, "Wouldn't you rather be white?" No, I feel it's important that I mention this was asked in my house, at my dining table, in front of my dark-skinned Ghanaian mother, but Becky acted as if all of this was another dimension. Now, while you would be right to question her audacity and ask what right she had, I ask you to focus on the answer that I held back instead. Yes, I would rather be white, rather have blonde hair and blue eyes than question my right to live the life I had been provided that left a core part of me divided. By 5, I was a monkey. By 6, I was a witch, because my nose was wrong and so was my skin. A slave, a rhinoceros, and even the devil was some of the names I'd been called by 10. My skin never seemed to let me fit in. Now, I suppose it isn't too shocking when you consider the fact that I was one of the first black girls to attend the institution since it opened in the 19th century. And though at 18 that's clear to see, it didn't make it easier for 6-year-old me to explain that yes, my name is Banjo, but no, not like the instrument, like Ogun Banjo, meaning war is me. That I am the daughter of kings and warriors and of the richest continent on earth, not of slaves and sin and a lack of worth. Still, it was slave and nigger and child of coal, words that fundamentally tore at my soul. The second of the three, my Nigerian heritage, a child by the village reared, and though by my name it may not appear that a drop of Nigeria resides in here. To that I say, know me not as Lara-Grace or as LG, but as Olubukola, not Alibadola, as my white friend once tried to say, but Olubukola, meaning God has added wealth. I am wealth. This sentiment made no sense to me until I was, 17? Now, all this before we've considered the third of the three, my Ghanaian ancestry. And although it's not recognised on my passport or respected in comparison to my Nigerian ethnicity, my mother, from whom this blessing hails, gave me the names Morowe Efwa Amare, meaning vibrance, born on the 6th day of Genesis, queen and great strength, beautifully adored, respectively. And although they are not respected formally, they are more than enough for me. So while others debate Nigerian versus Ghanaian jollof and refer to us as pigeons, I call upon Queen Mother of Ghana, Ya Asantua, and try to identify her vision. Now, where there's far more to say and far more that can be said, for today I simply settle my debt and declare my name is Lara-Grace Olubukola Morowe Efwa Amare Ogunbanjo. And not only am I a child of wealth and of queens, more than that, I am a child of three. Thank you.
Next, we have Ilayda performing one of her own spoken word pieces.
My mixed experience isn't black and white. It exists in the space between a grey area, unspoken, out of sight. An intersection binded in my blood yet divided by difference. A space I call home, but so broken apart. A broken home is where I reside, where questions are thrown at me in an attempt to define myself for your satisfaction, to put your mind at ease. Before you ask my name, you want to know which box in your head I should go. Which side do you identify with more is like asking me which part of your home would you set free. If I open my mouth, my family tree wilts either way. A space for mixed race existence is defined by everything but also by nothing. An abundance of culture without the space to exist. See, my skin tone didn't come with a set of instructions, so when you ask me what are you, I have too many tongues to answer, but still I say I'm human. No, where have you come from? Well, Wolverhampton, so England. No, where are you really from? Jamaica and Turkey. Oh, right. See, from your demeanour you definitely act white. Too white to be black, too black to be white, too indecisive to pick a side. Which part should I hide? Too young to know better, too old to reverse time and apologise. I'm sorry my race isn't visible to your eyes, and that my ambiguity is something I can't disguise, and that my skin needs to be defined for you. One part of me is sorry for taking up space, sorry in case my mixed experience isn't enough to deserve a place. The other part is angry for apologising, angry that my race is also an aesthetic for my white counterpart. Whilst I live in negotiation with my identity, there are people who profit from pretending to be black or biracial, because to them it's a costume. A simulation without the complications, without the cultural assimilations, because whenever they desire, they can pause their Jim Crow show and cower behind white privilege. Being mixed race is like a tug of war, but it's the same set of hands pulling the same body apart. I am the rope frayed and strained, but the hands pulling are also mine, gripping either side, pulling until a single thread is left behind, a fine line carrying the weight of double consciousness. Balancing two different planets you want to call home, but not really, because even if I visit, I'm still alien. But that fine line, that intangible bond, cannot be broken, it's merged in my bones. So though I may only be half, I still am. And that's more than enough for me to carve a home in between these lands.
Now I'm very excited to introduce Annabelle performing her own original spoken word.
Do you ever feel like you're in limbo? In some kind of liminal space, like half here and half there? Never just content in one place? My mum's brown and my dad's white, so I guess that makes me some kind of fusion of both. I have dark skin and dark hair, but such a westernized mind, I almost feel white on the inside. People have said it to me too. I've been called a coconut more times than I can count, and I'm not proud of it. Kind of hate it. Because I feel like I'm betraying half of myself for the other half that thrives in a country designed for it. I get a lot of, wow, you're pretty. Where are you from? Once someone asked me that, and I just looked at them. I tried to see myself through their eyes. And I did. I saw myself and I felt like an actress. I felt like a fake. Because I derive from a beautiful country that I've never set foot in. I descend from a whole culture I know nothing about. And I study history, so I know all about British imperialism and the way they used education to whitewash millions of people. And yet I still feel like I'm living evidence that it worked. I have this beautiful, dark skin, but I've never felt more disconnected from it. I don't speak its language, I don't practice its traditions. Not even half of me does. And all of me feels guilty for that.
Next we have the incredible Hannah performing her original monologue called Letter to My Younger Self.
Hi, my name is Hannah Balogun. I'm really excited to be taking part in NYT's first ever culture shock. And for this, I'm going to be reading / performing a monologue I wrote as part of a project with the lyric Hammersmith called Here, There, Now. And the monologue is titled / the stimulus we used was Letter to My Younger Self. Hi! Oh my god, hi! I'm you! Well, you many years later. Ugh, you look like you're having so much fun. Look at that smile. I love our smiley nature. I'm glad that doesn't change. Although we do start to do it less. But anyway, let me tell you about some of the exciting things that are about to happen. You are about to move to a whole new country. It's gonna take time, but eventually in this new country, you're gonna find a circle of friends that love you. You're gonna find this passion and career that you love, and so many amazing opportunities are coming your way. Just be careful not to let your career take over you completely, okay? Also, you know how you love to smile and play and imagine and haven't given much thought to what other people think. Hold on to that. In life and in your career, don't forget to keep playing. Don't forget that we're supposed to have fun and joy in this life. And you learn some of that as God starts to become more real to you, but that's a whole other conversation. Something else is about to happen. You're gonna start looking at the world differently, comparing yourself to others, and it's gonna make you question why your hair is the way it is, or your skin is as dark as it is. Even your gums are gonna come into question. So I'm here, writing this letter to you, telling you before any of that even happens, don't. Skip that part, because you are beautiful. Look how much you love your hair right now. How you love when your mom styles it, or you wear those bubbles that you can swing around and hit yourself in the face with. When all that pressure and noise and comparison starts to creep in, remind yourself of how much you love your hair right now. And you love who you are right now. There's no reason the outside world should change that. Oh god, I have to go. Okay. Ugh, I wish I had more time. Okay, let me just say this. Keep smiling, keep being kind, keep having fun. Oh, and when you start to feel really sad and you're in a lot of pain, don't shove it all down and try to hide it and deal with it by yourself. We are so blessed to have a mom and a sister that we can sit and cry with. And then, when you've processed it, keep fighting for the joy. Love you.
Finally, I will be performing an original spoken word called An Ode to My Forgotten Half. My heart yearns to be close to you, for my cultures to conjoin, for symbiosis within myself. I long to feel that, but that is not the case. My cultures intertwine like water and oil, parasitical interdependence. I can't exist without both of you, yet one of you resides within the shadows. It is you, my forgotten half. That is how I'm viewed by the world around me. And maybe that is why I neglect you, because I am reduced to you. The colour that you wash over my skin is merely all I am to others, and maybe I hate you. For the stares and the glares, people touching my hair, you, my forgotten half, makes me hyper-aware of the looks and the shuffles, the coughs and the bustles and the overwhelming discomfort that you bring. But within you is light. You're a bright ball of light and sound, greens and reds, and the colour that you wash over my skin is a symbol of resilience. It is of strength and of power, and I long to know you for that. But I fear, my love, my forgotten half, that I have lost you, that I have swam too deep in the water to ever reach the ocean. I want to love you. I truly do. But until we realise that 2 + 2 doesn't always equal 4, my longing remains a dream. That was Culture Shock, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed. Thank you to everyone who performed. You are absolutely incredible. And thank you for watching the first ever Culture Shock.